We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for business owners. Now, with that being said, I just want to be very clear. This one isn't just for business owners. Like this could be for any and all of the podcasts that there are for Voices of Integrity. Maybe it will make that top grade and it'll be one of the top videos. Kenny, a while back, asked, he said, Mark, how do you go ahead and you can make anything significant? Like you can be walking alone and it's a significant moment. You can be with your grandkids, it's significant. You can be on a trip. Like it seems like everything that you do could be significant. Nobody's ever asked me that question before. I've been thinking about it for a few weeks. Elaine went ahead and asked, how do you get people to internalize things? And so the answer, Kenny, to making anything and everything significant is intentionality, being intentional about doing it. On internalization, it's interesting. Rosanna, what is it that you wanted to accomplish today? Because yours connects into this too, but from a different angle.
How to make when you learn stick, and so that you continue to learn.
So this is one of the things that just frustrates me to no end. It seems like people shoot themselves in the foot. And then they do the same thing again and again, over and over, again and again. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why do people make the same stupid decisions? And it's brain science. It's how the brain thinks. And so if you haven't watched this first video from Tim Urban on Inside the Mind of a Procrastinator, you want to do that. Have any of you watched this video?
Yes.
I have, yes.
I've watched that thing a lot of times.
Right. Nice.
That one.
Right. So did it change your life forever?
Probably. I just, I'd have to sit down and really document everything.
Okay. And you've watched it another number of times, but why haven't you done that?
I almost did the last time, and then something distracted me, and I did something else and stopped it. I wasn't finished watching it, but that's something I need to do.
Was it Justin Bieber or Bieber and his mother or something on the internet looking? Was it that?
Nope.
Sorry, that's a joke. So I'm like, do people really do that when I'm watching? Did it change anybody else's life forever? See, Kenny,
I mean, it changed it for maybe a week.
Okay. So there's this synapse that connected to you for a week, but it's not strong enough. So it kind of went away, kind of went away, kind of went away. And so, like, I don't know if I could go ahead and like quote that video, go through it, but there are so many life-changing things in it. What's interesting is throughout the whole thing, I'm thinking, really? That explains a lot of things. I don't understand that about people. But what was the most significant thing for each of you on that video that watched that video?
That we relate to what I'm doing.
Go ahead, Rosanna.
Parts of what I'm doing and divide it up so that I'm not doing all at once.
Okay. So that's just going back to, a college course that I took when I was a freshman in college. And this course was different. You had a huge term paper like he had, but it wasn't graded on the final product. They forced you to break it down into 10 weeks and you got graded on doing everything. So I had a course when I was in a freshman in college, an English course that they forced me to do week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, changed my life forever. Obviously, he never had that course or he never internalized that course. So good. Adam, you were saying what was about that video?
That we people just can relate with it. What he is saying.
Okay. So all the crowd just laughing and connecting and wow, that's just me. Okay, good. Kenny, what was life changing for you? So if you
I think
don't write it, go ahead.
like how the where when the instant gratification monkey, when that thing takes over, like how accurate he was there.
Right? And yet the expressive, man, I'm telling you, the expressive, they've got that instant gratification monkey. That thing's loose and a wild animal. Like they want that thing like crazy. It's insane. It's insane. So what I hope you all learned about Elaine is she's watched it a lot of times, but each time she's gotten distracted and hasn't written it down. She is one of the best note takers I've ever seen. She's always got write it down if you want things to be significant. And Kenny thinks he wants significant, but there's a part of him that does not.
Mhm.
And so write things down. Elaine.
I could tell you some of it.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, just watching him resonates with so much stuff that I do with my children. For instance, if it's time to get ready for company, then I am very much one that waits too long to get things ready, and there's too much which creates comes out, and then makes
Sorry,
everybody
you're
else
really
around the
cutting out
monster.
a lot. Your internet connection sounds like it's kind of bad. So we'll swing back around and hopefully it'll be better in a second. Ginger Ann, have you watched this video on procrastination by Tim Urban?
No.
Okay, you got to watch it. I'm telling you, and then have your husband watch it, and then have your 5 kids watch it. It's funnier than all get out, but very, very powerful. Ken, have you seen this video on Tim Urban, The Mind of a Master Procrastinator?
I think so. Is that the one that he procrastinated about this call or the TED
Yeah,
Talk?
yeah. So, was there something significant that really stuck with you, Ken, on that video?
I mean, it was a while ago that I watched it, but I think his transparency, if he was telling the truth, for him to talk about procrastination and he procrastinating about the thing was pretty funny.
Cool. Anybody else have something that was really significant? Like that was life changing. You're like, you got to be kidding. There were probably about 7 or 8 things that were, I'm like, you got to be kidding. You got to be kidding. But the number one above all was the page with all the dots.
Oh, yeah, because it was showing your life.
It was showing your life. And then he said, people the things that are most deadly to you are not the things you realize that you're procrastinating on. It's like you're procrastinating on life, like you're procrastinating on life. And he said, and people find that they're a spectator in their own life. And I'm like, that's what people are. That's amazing. This is why people don't see things that are significant, because they're a spectator in their own life. This is why people shoot themselves in the foot time and time again, over and over, doing the same exact thing, and they don't even realize it, because they're a spectator in their own life. And then I thought, well, how do I understand that? It's like going to a football game. It's like watching the Super Bowl. Like, it's like watching a football game. You're in the stands, you're rooting, you get all of the energy and the pumped up and the excitement that the football players, and you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is show up. And you're a spectator. People want to be spectators. They want to feel the thrill of winning without doing any of the work, without doing the workout, without making the sacrifice, without looking like a fool. They want all the benefit of significance without any of the work, without any of the sacrifice, without any of the risk. That's the thing that I learned. I'm like, you have got to be kidding. Like, this makes all the sense in the world. Ford versus Ferrari. Let's move. So this one here, look at this one again, write down all the significant things and then come back to it. All right. The next piece. The next one, Ford versus Ferrari. You know, who am I? Who are you? I'm telling you, these two clips from this movie, amazing. So it's like we're wired in the very heart and soul of who we are as human beings to live a life of significance. So if that's the case, why don't people live significant lives? Why do they feel they're not living significant lives? I think it's because they don't want to. Because they feel that if they live a significant life, they're going to have to sacrifice something they don't want to sacrifice. So the internalization model was developed about a year before Jonathan's death, 6 months maybe. I remember getting on a call and I was doing the course with Peter Miles and Tom Kuntz, Leverage the Magical Arts of Positive Motivation and Manipulation. And I got on one of the lessons and I said to Tom, I said, I am so frustrated with people. He laughed and he says, why? And it's like, people will say, I understand what you're saying, Mark. I understand. And they don't, Tom. They don't understand. They do not understand. And it's so frustrating to me. And he laughed. And I said, I don't understand it. I don't understand how people can go, oh, I understand what you're talking about. Shoot, I don't even understand what I'm talking about. And I seem to have developed a model somewhere, someplace to do it. So I've given it decades of thought. I still but I understand. It's like, no, you don't. You don't understand. He said, well, that's easy, Mark. I'm like, okay, what? And he says, they're not internalizing what you're saying. And I said, really? And I could feel the energy of like, wham, like a tidal wave, like in the ocean. It's like this wave just crushing me. And I'm like, oh, gee, like, oh my goodness, that's exactly right, Tom. And I said, so how do I get people to internalize things? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. But
I wonder
then
if they even want to.
they don't.
Yeah, but I don't even know if they know they don't want to.
No, they don't. That's exactly right. They think they want a significant life, but they don't want it, but they think they do. They think they want to internalize things, but they really don't. Like, it's like, whoa. So my mind was racing all day. I went to bed that night. And then in the morning, I woke up and this is what was on my mind. I mean, I'm like, I'm going to forget this. Like fell out of bed and I got I think there was a napkin or a piece of paper right by the bed. And I just jotted this thing down. And this is the internalization model. I'm so pumped. I'm so excited. I'm like, I found it. Like, this is the coolest thing in the world. The model to how to get people to internalize things. It's crazy. It's such a crazy cool. When I showed Tom, he just laughed. He's like, Mark, you are such a wackadoo. Like, I've never met anybody like you. Like, you have this model like the next day. And he said, explain it to me. And I explained it to him. I said, well, awakenings can happen with questions, or questions can create awakenings. So it's start here. Step one is you're unclear, and then we have engineered clarity. So people have an awakening. What do women want more than anything else from men? They want to be awakened. What do men want from women more than anything else? They want to be awakened. Awakening, it starts with an awakening, and questions can create awakenings, or awakening creates questions. It can happen either way. Either way can create awakening. He's like, okay, that makes sense. And then the next thing is to connecting to our why. Like, why were we put on this planet? Like, we're created amazing. Like, every single one of us are creating God's image, I believe. And we're special, like we were knit together. We're created to do something phenomenal. But people, it's like they don't want to know why they were put on this planet. They don't want it. Like Jonathan said to me, but he was raised Baptist. He said, Dad, you know, um, I don't know. God's gonna, like, if I give my life to God, he's gonna send me over to Africa to be a missionary. Like, that's what you're taught in the Baptist. Like, whatever you don't want to do, God's gonna make you do it. Ooh, that's gonna attract people. Like, wow. And so it's like, so people get stuck here. So they want an awakening, but they don't understand. And then that creates listening. We learn to listen at a different level. And that then leads us to insight, and we see things we haven't seen before. And that then leads to purification and revealing of our intention, which reveals we're not that smart. We're not that caring. We're not that loving. We're not that righteous. So when we see really who we are, that purifies our heart, reveals our intentions. Like, it's like, he's like, wow, that's amazing. Does that really make sense? I'm like, right? And then that goes back and leads to radically thinking differently, a totally different way of thinking. Like, oh my gracious, I thought I was right. I thought I understood this, but I'm totally wrong. I thought I was a good person, but I'm not. I thought I was a caring person. I was not. I thought I was a righteous person, but I'm not. I thought I was really smart, but I'm not. I thought all these things about myself that are not true. But if we don't understand our why, if we're just sitting in the stand, we can blame the coach or the cheerleaders or the players for the loss. We never have to take ownership, which then gives us leverage. That gives us new capabilities. And then we change. It's not a surface, it's a deep change. We internalize things. How do you know if somebody's internalized it? It's if they change. It's if they change. If they don't change, they haven't internalized it. It's surface, superficial, knowledge. I mean, it talks about, for all the Christians out here, it talks about the knowledge puffeth up. Well, ask your pastor, ask him this question. If he can answer this question, he needs to talk to me. My phone number is 630-393-9909. 630-393-9909. If he knows the answer to this question, have him call me. I've never met a pastor who knows this. I've never met a seminary professor that knows this. It's like knowledge puffeth up. How do you prevent knowledge from puffing up? I think the answer is you do something. You have 3 PhDs in child psychology. You have a practice that's been going for 30 years. You know a lot about children. How do you go ahead and not allow knowledge to puff up? You have a child. Because a child will break through all of the degrees, all the knowledge, all the head knowledge. You're like, holy cow, this is hard. And so I had this whole model, and the only thing I didn't have was this last word here. I didn't have what happens after you do all of this, and I was stuck, and it was weird. I had all this other, and I'm like, I don't know what happens after you go ahead and do all this. You have questions, awakening, why, and you listen, you see, you have insight, you have purification, attention, and then you radically think differently, and then you have leverage and new capabilities, and you change through internalization, then you do. What happens next? I didn't know. It was blank. And Peter Miles, past president of a past board member of BMW, and then I forget one of the ritzy cars, smart, super smart guy, super smart guy. And he just like a reflex. I said, I don't know. I'm lost. I don't know what happened. Oh, he said, oh, you fail. I'm like, yes, that's what happens. You fail. You fail. You do all of this work and then you fail. And then you get it. You get it that this is the journey in life. This is just the journey in life. And this is an exciting journey because you're always like a small child. You never grow up. The more we know, the more we know we don't know. And so I think I would recommend that you watch this one here, The Mind of a Master Procrastinator, and then watch Who Am I? And then watch here. Watch this. And then write down the epiphanies, the things. Don't be in the stands on this. This is your life. You don't want to get to be 90 years old and wake up and realize you're a spectator in your own life. Shoot, you don't want to be 80 or 70 or 60 or 50 or 40 or 30 or 20. And then go ahead and go through and look at the internalization. And there's a book out there, Why. I think it's Why. And it'll help you to understand your why. There's another one, a short book, Dream Makers or Living Your Dream. I forget. I'll see if I can find that one. Somebody remind me. Another great book on finding your why. It's a little short book and it's finding your why. That's really good. Or you could go ahead and go in here and watch this video. Draw a circle, all your passions in the center of all your passions, your life vision. Then you start living it. And my experience in life is that I often, almost always, have to do a lot of things that I don't enjoy doing to move into what I love doing. Questions or thoughts on any of this?
It seems like you've done a lot of study on being significant, understanding significance, internalizing it. Why do you think that you do this?
Because of what I was told when I was 8, or what I think I was told when I was 8. So my life vision is to touch every single person in the world, one person at a time, make a huge difference in every aspect of their life in a really fun and exciting way. And so that's a lot of people, 8 billion. But if I had to make a choice between impacting a lot of people on a superficial basis or a handful of people on a significant basis, I think I would choose the significant, because insignificant, superficial, it's all over, it's all out there. So years ago, Dave Libby went ahead and said to me, he said, you know, Mark, you're reaching a lot of people, impacting a lot of people, but I wonder if you ought to narrow your focus to a small group of people, maybe a handful of people. This was probably maybe 15 years ago. And so I started doing that. And it was interesting. So it's hard, it's frustrating, it's hard work. It's like you see people, when you see people how they were created, not who they've been in the past, which is okay, and who they are now, which is okay, but who they could be in the future. It creates so much frustration because you see so much potential. It's a feeling that every parent, I think every parent I've ever met has had, where they see their child not living up to their potential, and you hurt and you ache as a parent. Like they could be so much more than they are. And when we see that, in other people, it's painful. It just is. But I think it's a good pain. Good question. Other questions? Okay. So if you have any, definitely visit the podcast for the Voices of Integrity podcast for passions, because it connects directly into that there. And so the podcast for passions, it's like, what are you passionate about? Like, it reveals a lot about you, a lot of good things and a lot of things that might not be so good. So definitely visit that podcast as well. If you have any questions on anything we covered today, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300, outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.